Powered by Riverside.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Blue Jay Manor Today. It is a morning after edition. I'm here with Mike Rochon. How you doing, Mike?
Good morning, Tim. Doing well. How about you?
Not bad. So Jays win 75-60. We'll talk about that, but first let's give a shout out to our fine sponsors, RTI Threads, which has been sponsoring not only this show but our post game show last night. We got an RTI Threads cap to the winning chat person last night, Ed, and then today we have, for the viewers on our YouTube channel, we have an autographed Jackson McAndrew autographed basketball. So anybody who wants to win that, all you need to do is retweet when I tweet out, put the tweet out here in a little bit with the link to our post game and this show. Just retweet it, and you are entered in the contest. So thanks to RTI Threads, all kinds of great stuff coming from them throughout the season. And then Infusion Brewing Company, go to infusionbrewing.com, check out all they have to offer. Check out their tasting room times, because it's great to go down there, order flights, and taste all the different beers that they have and pick the ones you want. So that's infusionbrewingcompany.com. All right. First, just give me your overall thoughts on the game.
Well, I am. I've coached basketball, so like my thing is when you shoot bad, you look bad. It's a known fact. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you could play some of the best basketball. If that ball's not going in the hoop, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't matter. So like that's the number one takeaway for me. And the biggest issue, and we talked about this on the preview show, is like these are wide open looks that they're getting. It's not like and there are a few that they were having to chuck up with little time left on the shot clock or things like that, but man, it's tough to see when you're missing wide open looks, and it's tough for the crowd to get going. It's tough to get that defensive energy when you're not seeing the ball go in the hoop. It's just, I mean, that was my biggest thing last night. Was just, man, one of these days, and I'm hoping it's in Vegas, the lid comes off the hoop.
Yeah, I know Mac's getting pretty frustrated with it in his post game. I thought maybe start off Josh Dix. We hit a couple right off the get go, and I thought, okay,
Right?
maybe tonight's tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the stats here so we can all look at them and share them and so forth. So yeah, 8 of 38. That kind of sticks out at you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's really no other way you can say anything. I mean, there's not much more you can say.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, that's, the point did come up, in our post game last night, was at some point, and I don't think we're there yet, but at some point you got to maybe say, well, maybe we're not a very good shooting team,
Right.
I mean, I think that happened a few years ago. We started out like this, and everybody's like, well, maybe we're not that good a shooting team. Maybe we need to just go inside more, it's amazing to me that when you look at the stats, watching the game and looking at stats, sometimes it's like two different worlds. Like, I know they didn't do anything in the second half. They were 1 for 8 from three. When I look at the stat, they made 6 threes. It seemed like they made way more than we did throughout the game,
Right.
because they were so hot early.
Yeah.
But then they came back to the mean in the second half, which usually happens, which further further made the game look ugly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we both were 10 for 30 in the second half. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is.
But 1 of 17 from 3. Wow. Um, yeah, I mean, our defense was better, I thought, in the second half, didn't you?
Defense was a lot better in the second half. In the first half, you're like, man, is anybody and everybody just going to be able to drive by a guy and get to the basket? And then in the second half, we did a much better job of cutting off those initial drives. So, um, yeah, I mean, and again, it's not the end of the world. It's game 4 of the season where they shot poorly, but it is a win, and you take wins, beautiful, ugly. Like a win is a win, and there were some good things last night that at least I saw. I saw a handful of good things that were exciting, and you hopefully those can continue to grow, and then we start making some shots, and we kind of forget about these couple games where we couldn't make a shot, and we don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's kind of go down the list here. So Jackson McAndrews sat out. He's got a foot problem. I, he sat out the initial exhibition game. So everybody's like, okay, it's just they're just being careful. I've seen him practice. He hasn't looked hampered by it at all. And all of a sudden, last night in the first half, you saw him get blown by pretty easily.
Really easy.
So it was like, what's going on here? And then he never played anymore. And then he was late coming out at halftime and just sat on the bench the whole time. Of course, we had him on the postgame show last night. And, he said something that's been bothering him. He's fought it through. It's gotten better. He's fought through it. He's pretty, obviously, as they always are with injuries, pretty vague about what's going on. He just said, I think rest will just help it. He goes, I really want to play Monday. So he goes, I'm just going to, rest it and see what happens. So it doesn't sound like it's something structural.
Right.
You would have thought they would have figured that out by now if it was. But anyway, that's kind of a big a big
Right.
loss, but we'll get to that later. Then Owen Freeman, I thought second half Owen Freeman played the best he's played all year.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was one of the positives that I'm taking away from the game. I thought he was very active, especially on the defensive end. There's a couple times that North Dakota guy was just kind of holding the ball out there, and he came in and swiped it out, and was very active. He did a really good job with the old Creighton verticality when guys were going to the basket, and then he did a good job. I'd still like to see him post up harder. It's just kind of as soon as he kind of gets bumped, he loses and doesn't really fight for that position inside. I'd like to see him, get a little bit more physical in there. But if he's not trusting himself with his knee and things like that, I can see why he may be struggling. But I thought he was so much better last night.
Yeah, both of our Iowa guys have got to be more physical and tougher. I don't know if that's something that they didn't have to do at Iowa, probably, but that's pretty clear. I said this last night. Blake Harper, if he shoots even close to 50% from 3, he's going to be first team Ball Big East. I mean, because he can score inside. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
When he starts hitting threes, my goodness, what a game! 19 points, 12 rebounds. And I still, you get 12 rebounds, and I still don't think he's aggressive enough going for the basketball.
right. Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. There's another level that he can get to aggressively. And I still think, he was interviewed at the end of the game by ESPN, and you could tell he's still kind of just like, I'm still working my way to playing at this level of basketball, and which is great to see. It seems like a very humble kid. and knows that there's still quite a bit left that he needs to work on.
Yeah. Uh, Josh Dix last night at least got into the lane a little bit. No turnovers for him. That was good news. Uh, you know, he is still his shot, like you said, his shot's not dropping.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would like to see is, has one assist and then 2 rebounds, like, man, if we're not making shots, what can we do to get other people involved? Things like that. I would like to see, some more assists. But again, if you're not making any shots, it's tough to get assists. So
Yeah, right, exactly. You know, how many good passes maybe he made that normally
right.
would have been an assist. That's the old deal like with, Austin Chapman, you know? Yeah, he got a lot of assists because he threw the ball to Doug, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, a guy who I just think's really struggling is Nick Graves right now, you know? His body language isn't good out there. You know,
It's
he can
awful.
tell that he's not making shots, so, you know, then that just it just the snowball just starts rolling and affects his defense, and and again, the overarching theme of forgetting about making shots of this team is we don't seem to have that fire out there on the court like you've seen in other years from players. Even guys like who are quiet, like Kalkbrenner, you know, shows a lot of fire from time to time. And you know, we had the guy Ashworth last year that kind of got everybody going. You know,
Yep.
we don't have that this year, and we kind of need that from Nick a little bit. You know, we kind of have two introverts, Nick Graves and Josh Dix, out there running the show, and I guess that's good in some points, but in other points it's not. Same way with Jason. You know, Jason Green's another guy. You know, it's not. You don't think about him being a fiery guy. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there, but we've got to get something going with Nick Graves. And you know, he only had 3 assists last night. When you score 75 points and you had 3 assists, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can just tell, I mean, that he's playing with zero confidence right now. And I know he's a guy that likes to get to the free throw line, which number one, better make your free throws if you're gonna get to the line that much.
yeah. I mean,
But
that's 5 points we gave away right there.
in the second half, they got that steal, and instead of just going hard and laying it in, he jump stopped, waited for that guy, and tried to draw the foul. I was like, man, just go lay the basketball in. That guy was not going to have a chase down block. There was no possible way that guy was getting there.
Yeah. Jason Green, I mean, he just didn't hit any shots. And again, we don't have a lot of inside presence. We need him to be inside scoring. And, you know, he played 28 minutes and he had 3 rebounds.
Yeah,
He's gotta be more aggressive, you know? Um, well, yeah, besides Blake Harper, obviously the start of the night was Hudson Greer. Even for a guy that got 1 point, that's, you know,
right.
crazy to say, but he had 7 rebounds. I mean, he came in immediately and got 4 quick rebounds, and, you know, those as we spoke last night, it wasn't so much like there was other Creighton guys that could have maybe got some of those rebounds, but Hud got them. Hud
Yeah,
was quicker to the ball, more aggressive, and he's the one guy, as Mac talked about in the post game, the one guy right now that's showing some fire out there. I mean, when he made that great pass, he was all pumped up about it, and that's what Mac wants to see.
yep,
Mac said, well, apparently there's some ruling that they could automatically get 5 years. He kind of he kind of leaned on that as the reason why. I can't believe that was the only reason.
yeah.
The
Based on
other
his comments in the post game, I don't think the 5 years was the only reason.
yeah, and then he said what puzzled me was though he said, well, he's a guy that's been bringing it in practice, which he has been all year, and shows the fire and aggressiveness. Well, that was there before
Yeah,
the red shirts. I'm puzzled by all that. But at any rate, it's all taken care of now, so it's water under the bridge. But yeah, if we can get him to knock down some shots, then we're going to be cooking with oil right
yep.
there. And now, and like I said all along, what did I say when we redshirted him? One injury. Well, here we go with Jackson. Now that's a
Yeah.
perfect example. So, yeah. Austin Swartz kind of has been lost in the shuffle here.
Yeah.
In practice, he hasn't played all that well. He kind of been relegated to even some scout teamwork. And so, I thought last night, though, he came in, he had a couple turnovers that killed us, but I thought his hands were pretty active on the defensive end. But again, just like Isaac Trout, man, if you can't knock down threes, that's your specialty, then I don't know where we're going to get minutes for you.
Yeah. You can't, I couldn't have said it any better. Like, those guys' minutes are going to be dictated on, if they can come in and make shots, especially when nobody else is making shots. Hey, let's bring in Schwartz. Let's see if we can get a spark off the bench. See if this guy can knock down some shots. Everybody else sees some shots go in, and we start going, and he's not doing it. Well, okay, like he's not. There's not a lot else that he's bringing. Like you said, he was a little bit active on the defensive end, but yeah, I'm with you on where does he fit in this year.
And he had 2 turnovers, and then, oddly enough, God, I swear to God, he took a 3. I guess maybe
Yeah,
there was whistle blowing.
I
He
thought
did.
so. Yeah, I thought so
Didn't he
too.
throw some too?
Yeah, I thought he did. Yeah,
I think they
yeah,
messed up that because I think God, I could have swore he shot a 3.
yeah,
So and that kind of covers Isaac too. Isaac's just a guy we've got to fit him into different roles, and one of those roles is shooting it. Again, he just looks rushed to me.
hmm
So
yep,
I think a lot of the newer guys, the reason they're not hitting is because they've got so much spinning in their minds. But Isaac's been there before.
yep,
But maybe he's not. The other point was made too. Um, Ashworth, for as much as people didn't like him as a point guard at times, he'd get that ball right in the shoot. He was a shooter, so he got that ball right in the shooter's pocket.
yep,
Where last night it wasn't right where, it's like, sadly, I'll use my JJ McCarthy analogy, Justin Jefferson upset because he thought he dropped one. Well, yeah, he should have had it. He normally gets it. But again, the pass was not where it needed to be, even though he got his hands on it. It needed
right,
to be down lower and so forth. Same with these passes to Isaac. They needed to be in position where he can just turn and shoot rather than grabbing it from above or
yep.
whatever it is. So it all falls together. Oh, I guess I'm shorting somebody here. The other star for 8, a little short of 9 minutes was Karim Conan. He had a tremendous game. 8 points, 5 rebounds. Uh, he I thought he was just great.
Yeah.
He had 4 offensive rebounds.
You can tell he's it's not everybody has it. He's very smart when it comes to rebounding. Like he
Yes.
knows where that he has a good idea when that ball is shot where it's going to come off at, and he finds that little area, and then he goes and gets the ball, which is what you talked about earlier with Hudson. Is don't wait for it to come to you, man. Go get it. And then he went right back up with it. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah. And look, some of that, and probably some of that with Hudson too, and probably some of that with Owen. We're sitting there saying, "Oh, that was Owen's best." We just had a dominant size advantage with
Oh, for sure.
Dakota, and that's why we out rebound by 20 rebounds. So some of those rebounds aren't going to be there with other teams. So that kind of concerns me a little bit too, that we get a little bit, caught up in the numbers here. Ty Davis didn't get much run, 2 minutes.
Three fouls.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's too bad because he's a guy that could bring us some spark. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, 'cause he's an emotional player. So if he could perform better on the floor, then now we've got Ty Davis, we've got Hudson Greer with some emotion. Owen Freeman can show some emotion. Now we got 3 guys, and now maybe it'll grow a little bit, but we can't get him on there. But at any rate, yeah, we out rebound by 20. Again, that 8 for 38, 21%. And free throws, my goodness. We've got to make, we lost. We've got to be 20 at 25, not 15 at 25. If this team wants any kind of success,
Yeah.
we've got good enough shooters between Blake, Josh Dix, who between the two of those 2 guys last night were 7 of 8, which is great. They're doing their job. But we've got guys like Nick Graves, who's a very good free throw shooter that didn't shoot them well. Fedor, come on, Fedor, you got to make your
Right.
free throws. Hudson made 1. And I'm sure he was, you could tell he was so nervous. That was his first D1 point, and he was just, I'm like, he stood at the line for Erica's doing so. I was like, Hud, back off the line. You should never stand at the line that long. That's horrible free throw procedure. You should never stand there. You got to move around and then go up to the line. But he made it, so good for him.
Yeah.
Turnovers 11. I think, at times it looked really sloppy and so forth, but 11's probably not horrible because they were putting a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah, they were. That when we're running the high picks, I mean, they were trapping everything, which makes it super, super challenging. And it's another point. I felt bad for Nick Graves, and he didn't do a great job, but like he's getting trapped, and we got guys standing in like the far corner putting their hands up like they're open. Like how is he gonna make that pass? Like
Yeah.
that's like grade school, high school stuff, man. You gotta come and help your guard out, and then then you can attack almost like a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 because of how high those guys are coming up. Like that was really, really frustrating to see guys not coming to help out these ball handlers.
I could see Baylor coming with some pressure. We know Iowa State's gonna that could be a disaster
Right.
if we don't handle that better. We handled it good the first in the exhibition game, but obviously the intensity is probably not there. But we handled it good. But Lipsy didn't play, so
Right.
that's just it's gonna be all right. Well, we're moving on.
Yeah.
As you said, a win's a win, a win. Again, the Jays, that's 4 games in a row. The over has gone under for the Jays. So the betting public is overestimating how many points Creighton can score. And that's the 3rd out of 4 that the Jays have not covered either. So I think people are kind of just waiting for the ball to start dropping.
Yeah. Yeah. With 28.5, and Creighton hasn't really shown that they're shooting it well. That was a tough one.
Was not a very good night for the Big East last night. Let's see. We had UConn losing, which is never a bad thing. Okay.
Especially
Man,
without
Arizona.
Reed and Mullins. That's tough for UConn in a and I know
Still, they've
UConn's
been,
good, but
but at UConn, though, that's for Arizona to go in there and win that one after UConn kind of took the lead in the second half to come back and take the lead back. And Marquette, I've totally misread how they were going to be this year. Now
yeah,
Dayton's not bad, but it's
no,
still a team that Marquette should beat them. I mean,
yeah. At home, you need to win that game.
great comeback because they were down double digits second half and they came back and got to overtime. But I'm just really surprised at that outcome too. So yeah,
Villanova did beat LaSalle, so they didn't.
yeah, that was a the Big Five matchup.
Yeah,
Usually those little schools shoot for Villanova, St. Joe's and LaSalle, and
yeah,
um, yeah, I don't know what to think about the Big East right now. I'm excited to see in Vegas, see St. John's against Iowa State and Baylor and see how they handle that. Kind of get a measure of how good they are because when they played Alabama, I mean, I was impressed with them because Alabama was so good that day. Alabama good again last night, goes on the road in Illinois and wins. So,
yeah.
um, all right. Well, that is our wrap up of the morning after. And we'll have a show tomorrow, and then Mike and I will do a preview for the Baylor game and hopefully one for Iowa State game as well. And then we won't have any shows the rest of the week, Wednesday through the holiday weekend. So I may throw a surprise show in there if I get some time. Especially, it depends on when we play. If we play Wednesday or Thursday in Vegas, so it's kind of a big flip of the coin. Also, I'll be covering the women's game. The women play at UNLV on Wednesday at noon Vegas time. So, all right. So in this link, I'm going to also put the post game in there. So make sure and check that out if you haven't. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button. It helps us out a ton, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Go Jays.